In this first part section of our Hack GH1 tutorial, we're going to talk about setting up the GH1 for video mode. The main mode that we use when we shoot video with the GH1 is the creative movie mode. You can see that on your camera by the icon that has the M next to the little camera. But before you turn your icon into that mode, we're going to turn it into the regular manual mode and set up a few settings before going into the creative movie mode. So when we enter the menu, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go up to the camera icon up at the top. This menu is only accessible when you're in one of the still modes of the camera. So when we're in that, there's quite a few settings that you can set up and change otherwise, but one of the first things I want to show you is the stabilizer modes. There's three different modes. There's mode 1, which is stabilize all the time. Mode 2 is for stabilizing only during taking a shot. And mode 3 is tripod mode. It's designed for being on a tripod, so you get less jutters when panning back and forth. So for most purposes, mode 3 will work. If you're going to do just simply handheld all the time, I would leave it in mode 1. Further down, if you go to page 4, we want to change the ISO increments to 1/3 EV. They'll be standard on 1 EV, which means you'll get 100, 200, 400, 800. At 1/3 EV, it allows you to choose between that. So 100 to 160, 200, 250, 320, 640. You'll get all the other increments that allow you more control over the picture. Once you've set those settings, you're going to go into the creative movie mode. So you're going to go ahead and turn the dial, turn it into creative movie mode. And you are going to go back into the menu. The record mode should come standard in AVC HD. Record quality will probably be standard on FHD, which is your 1080p. Below that are your 720p modes. So with the hack, the FHD changes and the SH changes with the bitrate. There's also now options to change the high and the low, H and L. So you can customize those values as well. Exposure mode, you have your standard aperture priority, shutter priority. I always leave it in manual. You can do what you want with that. One of the first things I change is the LCD LVF automatic change. So there's a sensor up here in the viewfinder that if you put your eye close to it, it'll automatically turn this on. I turn that off because if I'm shooting, I can accidentally switch back and forth and your screen will blank. You can almost think that there's a problem with the camera from it. If you continue down, one of the very most useful features of the camera is the histogram. So that's on the top of page 2. You're going to go ahead and turn that on and then place it on the screen. Below that on page 4, this will be up to your preference. When using lenses that can communicate with the camera, so anything that's made by Panasonic or any 4/3 lens that can communicate with the camera, and if you go to focus, it will switch over and show you a 4 times magnified view. Now you can get to that manually. Using that all the time can be irritating, so I turn that manual focus assist off. You can re-engage it again just by hitting a button on the camera when you're in manual focus mode. On page 5 at the very bottom, you'll come down to another one that's shoot without lens. You want to turn that on just in case you want to use other types of lenses with the camera, lenses made by Canon or Nikon. On the next page down on the setup menu, you want to turn on, well, for me, you have a customizable function button. For me, what made the most sense was to turn that to the intelligent exposure. Now, the intelligent exposure works like HTP on the Canon cameras, except having a button dedicated to it is really nice. If you don't need it, you can turn it off as it extends noise a little bit. If you're in a scene that has a lot of dynamic range and you want to compress that a little bit, having the ability to control that on the fly is really nice. After that, as far as basic setup, you're good to go.